Welcome out to the Please Don't Watch This podcast, everybody. Joining me today, as always, my good host, SpeedSlasher. I'm Carl101. I don't know why I did that backwards, but hey, that's why you don't watch this. How's it going, Speed?
I don't know. How are you doing, Carl? We're doing this reverse. How am I doing, rather?
I'm trying to think of like, could I be pro enough to just like say everything backwards just for like one complete sentence? And I'm like, nah, that's going like outside the box there. So, but I'm doing all right. I'm honestly speaking, I'm all over the place. I've been very tired. I've been very worked lately, just trying to get a whole bunch of stuff accomplished. But it isn't to say that things haven't been totally awesome at the same time. We just had the 1,000 follower night. We also had our community, or actually the community night's coming up, I should say. July 30th. Come join us for some Jackbox and marbles and Mario Kart and Splatoon and a movie.
Splatoon 2 specifically.
Yeah, no, Splatoon 1 for Wii U because, you know, we're doing...
Don't confuse people.
It's Splatoon 2. He's right. But yeah, I've definitely been tired, to say the very least. Just been accomplishing so many different things. A lot. My life changes like drastically most of the time. So like, you know, my days will go from like focus on streaming today, focus on YouTube today, focus on streaming and YouTube today, lesson day, and then it'll be like, all right, let's work on house, let's build
swimming practice,
let's build electrical, let's do this, let's do that, and it's just a never ending thing. So,
yeah, you know, it's hard to balance work, life, work.
Yep, pretty much.
Never stops. That grind don't stop, you know what I'm saying, man? Dang old. So let's get into that then, because like follower night was like, I think so. This podcast is coming out like a bit offset because we have events. But follower night just happened and went pretty long. It was 15 hours?
It was close to 15 hours. I mean, realistically speaking, when you think about it, the last 3 hours I had planned were just kind of like whatever ends up happening. Because they were just, you know, the
community kind of stuff.
Yeah, I wanted it just to kind of like end on a like, hey, we're all here, let's just chill out and hang out, and we've enjoyed a lot of stuff. But as far as like the really truly scheduled stuff, so for those of you that missed out on Follower Night, what I did was I decided to take a poll. And I gave as many people as possible 30-minute slots to suggest basically whatever game they wanted. I tried to keep it to either cheap stuff for me to buy or for them to pick games out of my backloggery. There was no restrictions other than, of course, it having to be, you know, like safe for stream and stuff. But like anything kind of just went for that. And I also kind of like mentioned that, you know, probably not a good idea to be like, hey, you should try this RPG for 30 minutes that has a 35-minute cutscene in the beginning, because unfortunately that wouldn't really get the aspect of like playing the game at that point. So, but I thought based on, and I gave everybody a few choices so I could kind of like pick better based on what I can kind of see myself. So, but I thought, based on all the games that I did and all the games I kind of demoed too, I thought it was a really fun night. I tried to stay as strict as possible, and I really enjoyed just kind of sitting there because a lot of people tried to pick games that I really hadn't streamed or hadn't even touched yet, all things considered. So
I checked out his backlog, which we'll be talking about later. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll be definitely talked about quite a bit. But yeah, I really enjoyed that night. I thought that went a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it would. Honestly speaking, I kind of thought it was going to be a little boring, but it's just the constant like switch to GameCube to Switch.
I don't think a lot of games were actually on Switch. I think maybe like two,
one or two. Yeah.
Yeah. So most of them were like PC games or something.
They were, and that's fine too. Because in truth be told, like I'm really bad when it comes to playing a lot of indie games, and usually like when a lot of the you guys really just suggest me to play like indie games, I'm usually like really hesitant because like I don't know, when it comes to indie games, I feel like I have a little bit more of a boring time, unfortunately, with indie games, which is really sad and terrible because there are some really good artists out there and really good game creators that make indie games that just like don't get the recognition that I'd like to give them because they really need it, and I don't know. But needless to say, I went over that and we found some really really good stuff. Like that Deadbolt game was pretty good. Iron
Right, that
Lung
was by H.H. Shark, and then Troy recommended Iron Lung.
Iron Lung was really good. The old TV game was very strange, but when I figured out how to play it, I was like really hooked into it for a second. I kind of want to finish it actually. But yeah, like just some of those games were very interesting. I beat one game that whole day. It was fantastic. No.
A game he... Okay, well, yeah. What was the game you beat? Oh, right. It was Super Dodgeball on the Game Boy Advance, right?
Super Dodgeball Advance.
Did you say Stupid Dodgeball?
Not Stupid Dodgeball, Super.
Nerd Node. Sorry, I misheard. So then what were your favorites of that night?
Like I really enjoyed Deadbolt. I thought that was a really fun game, and I think at some point I kind of want to go back and like actually give that a full playthrough at some point. What else was really good about that night? What was I really from your perspective? I mean, you were there for the whole like actual like games being played.
Yeah.
So let's see, I started off with Mega Man, and then I'm trying to remember the list.
I wasn't around for the start.
Oh, okay.
I think if you got a little, I think there's some games where it's like, oh man, if you got more than 30 minutes, like I think you would have been hooked on it. Like Scribblenauts, I don't think you were able to get too into it, even though you had fun with it.
Yeah, and the problem is that like people want me to stream Scribblenauts, but because it has a very heavy Wii U functionality, that unfortunately gets it struggles in the streaming of things just because
You gotta look at the down and then up and then down.
Yeah, and just more so like there's a whole bunch of stuff like I feel like there's a whole bunch of lost of you trying to figure out like, you know, what am I drawing or what am I like tapping and all that kind of stuff, and that's just the unfortunate thing about it. That's why I like the 3DS capture card for sure.
Right.
Instead of just like you know, using well, I mean never, that's a bad example. Scrap.
Change it.
Yeah, change it.
Edit it out.
Future speed. Bumbles. But yeah, so that's the biggest thing with Wii U games is that I don't like playing Wii U games if I have to rely on the gamepad. That was the issue with when I did Kirby, not Canvas Curse, the other one,
the Rainbow
Curse. Yeah,
I think.
Because I sat there doing just a lot of like looking down like I am right now, just like it looked like I was on my phone the whole time.
Like you're an iPad kid.
Yeah, an iPad kid trying to stream. Just, I don't know.
So I guess if I were to look at it, it's the games where you're like, I wish I got more in. Like, well, Deadbolt, yeah. Mm-hmm. Jungle Beat, you wanted to fight that boss, but then you didn't get to it.
Oh yeah, I did. That was actually a really fun game. I gotta hand it to. That was who suggested that? Lime Green?
Yeah, no, that was Huber.
Oh,
Lime
it was
Green did Scribblenauts.
Oh yeah, you're right. I remember.
Yeah, any game where you're like, I want to play more. It's like, yeah, that's it right there.
Yeah, for sure. I forgot Jungle Beat was a lot of fun. Jungle Beat was fun because I was just like cruising through that game.
Crazy.
Yeah, Crazy Taxi 2 is now a thing now. So, but yeah, that either Deadbolt, Jungle Beat, or what else was there?
You did finish Dodgeball Advance, as you said. So, but I don't. I think you still had fun with that, but I think you would have just had fun with any dodgeball game at that point.
No, I mean I really like the original game Super Dodgeball in the NES a lot. So why I didn't know that it existed and why I don't have it, I don't know. But that'll have to change like very soon. But we'll get into that when we get into the completionist section of our podcast here. So, but yeah, overall, so there was that, and then I did the concert, which you would be able to know how that went. Because you were a spectator of that.
Green screen, man.
I did. I invested and bought a green screen, and boy, let me tell you, what a nightmare that thing is.
Because it's so big, right? And your room
it is. So the actual like the green screen, like the felt screen, that is a 10-foot by 10-foot screen. It is ginormous. The stand, which is literally just two poles and a big old pole up top going across. That is also 10 foot by I think 7 or 8 feet. Big tall thing. And the plus side though is that I can keep it up because like when the green screen's not attached to it, I'm looking at it just so you guys understand. I can just leave it up because like it's basically a doorway. I don't need to worry about it being in the way of things. But when I set it up and everything, oh boy, it is just all over and in the way. But I look forward to using it for other things like videos and stuff, and probably more streams and stuff. I might even. What if I told you that we were living in a universe where everything behind me was actually on the green screen?
You have green on your shirt though.
That's true. You get a point. You got me.
Got him.
You got me.
So besides that, like I think on the whole, pretty fun night. Vampire Survivor hit after the concert to fit for Tom.
Yeah.
But besides that, yeah, I think most of the lineup was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was a very diverse lineup, which I really appreciated and enjoyed too. So.
That was Follow Night. Thank you for the follows.
Yeah, thank you everybody.
Thank you for sticking around.
Literally everybody for following on Follower Night. So, and the idea I've run it through my head, but the idea was kind of so good that it might not necessarily be continued as what's called Follower Night, but it might be continued as something else down the road where we continue that idea of like everybody suggests me games to play, and then we do that 30-minute session.
Yeah, give us an idea for the name. I think like. Demo disc sounds kind of cool.
Demo disc.
Yeah.
Then I feel like I need to acquire like
start doing demo discs.
Yeah. Which you should do on Check It Out. That'd be really
I do have
fun.
some, but I played all the ones I have.
Well, we gotta get you some more. We gotta invest some more.
All right, I'll look into that. I kind of miss demo discs, honestly.
Demo discs were great, but I get it. Like in today's market, like they don't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, just download the demo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But demo disc is like a whole new world of at least like 5 demos on a single disc. It's like, whoa, I have a whole day to this. And
the other
I get bored of it.
The other thing too was that like when it comes to a demo disc, like it was like a production to watch those. Like you pop the demo disc in, and I'm thinking more of the PlayStation demo disc. Like my first demo disc that I ever had was a PlayStation 1 demo disc that came with a PlayStation 1
with cool tricks.
Yeah, and you load it up and like you're just blasted with like all these videos, and like you get that cool guy who's like the hit PlayStation 1 games coming to you now, and then you get like 15 different blocks of like different games. Some of them are games, some of them are just videos, and you just spend like the whole day. You're just like, and then you get done. You're like, wow, PlayStation 1. I'm poor and I don't have any money to buy the games, but this was cool regardless.
Most of my demo discs are like Lego demo discs, actually, because there's a lot of Lego games, man.
There are.
Lego Island for Dunkos. So what else has been up? Unless you want to keep talking about Follower Night.
No, I think that pretty much wraps up everything with Follower Night. Like I said, thank you everybody for following at the very least, and the support from subscriptions and stuff like that too. And of course, you YouTube people. At some point, we'll probably, if we keep going. I'm sorry, I'm trying. I really am. I'm trying to get things back up and going again. I've just been on a lull here. As far as
I'm outpacing him on his own channel.
he is. He really is.
It's okay. You'll get there.
I know. I will get there for sure. But anyways, yeah. So yeah. Moving on. I think that's basically everything that's been happening. Oh, you have an event coming up too. That's something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you want to save that for the end?
Well, I'll briefly talk about it on like what's been going on my end, but like, you don't have anything else going on your end, because you kind of briefly talked about it, but.
Am I missing something?
Well, the work you've been doing, like the getting the car. I don't know if you want to get into that, but.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, yeah, so
because we did talk about it on the first podcast when we returned. What happened to AJ? So I was just wondering.
Yeah. So today I'm gonna go be looking at some cars to see what's just out there. I have one particular that I'm kind of really interested in, but
Daihatsu.
I'm telling you, I would consider it if it was like right around the corner and readily available to buy. But it is not, and I don't know how. Sometimes the import stuff on that can be kind of tricky to deal with too. So I don't want to like spend 5,000 and then end up spending 15,000 because market. But
This was
yeah,
all just an elaborate ploy for me to show the image that I edited of you in the Daihatsu. It was all according to plan and it went perfectly.
I should have just like kept being stupid. Like, what are you talking about? Cars?
Cars? I don't like those.
But yeah, I look forward to that. That'll be literally after we get done with the podcast today. So, fun.
In the sun. Speaking of sun, that's been what's going on like around the world. Like also here in Cali, like it's been pretty darn hot. So I'm just saying, PSA from the both of us: stay cool. We have tips to beat the heat. Carl suggests popsicles. I think.
Popsicles, dude. Like,
Popsicles.
get yourself a good box of popsicles and just
Yeah, no matter how like cheap or whatever, you get the popsicles.
It's not about the flavor.
Yeah, it's about the coolness. Rub it on your head like how Strong Bad does the bologna sandwich.
Ew. Don't do that.
I'd also say like lay down on tiled flooring, take some foot baths if you can access that. Pro tip: don't wear a suit as a gimmick for a dumb stream where you play Fall Guys. I was sweltering. I played it cool though.
But think of the followers, Speed. Think of you gotta.
I did. And I still regret. I mean, you know what then? Next follower night, 2,000, wear a suit.
In 2000.
2,000 followers.
Oh, I'm like, dude.
In the year 2000.
Yeah. I was like, dude, it's 2022. And welcome to the future.
We'll start getting to it. That just reminds me of how you said you've never had to do like camera recording for like gameplay footage before.
I've never done it. Never in my life have I done that. I feel I'm in such a weird position because I feel like when I release that that knowledge to the people, like even if I release that to like upper streamers, I feel like they'll give me this like glaring look of like he's not one of us. He's a different breed of person. We must. I'll get like pitchforks and fire outside my house, just because I'm different in that regard.
I'll be out there. I showed Carl like I did a video. And my hair, see, people with video right now. My hair goes up, right, and it's been up for a bit, and the footage, you can just see my hair sticking out at the bottom left corner. Here's a picture. I'll even share it.
Wow, what an amazing picture!
Thank you. Besides that, most of my free time I've had available has been for that Project Table Tennis. And I've also been working on a secret gift for my sister because there's a birthday coming up.
Yes.
It's cool. I'll show a little bit here. Maybe I'll pixelate it. It's still in the WIP stage, as they say. WIP.
Make sure you pixelate it good.
Work in pixels. But besides that, again, stay cool. And I hope that if you're available, I did upload the announcement video for the table tennis thing. Table Tennis for Vengeance is what I'm going with. And it's on the 29th, 12 p.m. Pacific, my time. So if you want to see me go, then you peep in.
Yes, I agree. I will try to be there as much as I can.
All right. I'll hold you to that.
I don't know. I literally don't know what is going on this Friday or the next Friday. Yeah, Friday from today. Like,
yeah.
I've been trying as my best to figure that out, and to no avail do I have a solution to that. So I may be there for some of it. I may be there for all of it. I will try to be there for some of it. I don't.
I mean, the same thing for me on your community night. I got to pick up the old parents from the airport.
Yeah. I was gonna say though, I'm gonna be very upset if I'm not there to watch you beat it on the first go. So
dude. If it happens where I'm a 5-0, I'm gonna start selling. It's like, oh no, the restrap. Oh man. Oh jeez, everything's going wrong. Oh, I lost.
No, you can't. You can't blow it on the first. You can't. Or you can't. What would it be? You can't.
Job.
You can't choke on. You can't force yourself to choke on the first one. That's not okay.
That's what I meant by selling, in wrestling, where it's like, oh no, I'm losing, no, and
Oh,
then here
yeah.
comes him with the table. You'd know from since you're so of well lexicon with wrestling terms.
That is true. That is true.
You are the A show.
I was while TFP was the B and possibly C show. So
It says the two of us who didn't get further than the first bracket on that event. So, you want to move on to news? How we don't really have much news today.
We don't have much news today. It was a very low key day in the news world, but we do have a little bit, I suppose. Did you posted first actually for news, so you go first.
So, Italians of the group. Does Kuriapi plus 0987654321 Cordy opposite 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 plus lol JK lol mean anything to you?
I'm calling it right now. It's Watch Dogs 3. But
So,
what it actually means is Twitter over virus equal varias.
So yeah, on the Italian Twitter, this is like a slow news day for it's like this is a it's like local dog eats street, this was a tweet by the official PlayStation Italy account, and by Koros Publishing. I don't know what that means, but I don't know what it means.
Is
guys,
is the tweet still up?
yeah, and you could press. You know how sometimes tweets you could translate it to English.
Yes.
You could translate that tweet to English.
Wow.
It looks the same.
Is there actually differences?
No, I don't think so. It's like find the difference, and it's find where's Waldo. But it would be funny. I would be surprised if this actually meant something. Like, oh yeah, this was Watch Dogs. What would it be? 3, 4?
Yeah, Watch Dogs 3. Well,
Watch Dogs 3.
Legions is technically, I guess, 3, but it's not like, I don't know. The games are like kind of sequels, but not really sequels, but kind of sequels.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't know, 3, 4, or whatever. It's like how there's a Tales of the World Radiant Mythology 4, but not really because it's a mobile game.
Isn't it Tales of the House of Radiant Mythology?
3 houses?
Yeah.
3 hopes?
I don't know. You told me I was pronouncing it wrong, and you were trying to fix it.
Because you said Tales of the Radiant Mythology.
Oh, okay. I thought that's
it's Tales of the World Radiant Mythology.
Oh, World. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right.
Good news cycle.
Yeah.
Next one.
Okay. There's apparently a Kirby game that you want to talk about.
Yeah, I like that Kirby is the game where it's like they could just do whatever the heck they want now. Because a lot of people are like, well, now they're working on Kirby, where's yada yada yada, and it's like that's how they do other things.
It's not hard to make a Kirby game. I feel like, honestly, the problem with Kirby is that like just making. I feel like making new, unique Kirby can take a lot of time and effort. But like, if you want to, like, it's basically the new Super Mario Brothers effect. Like, all new Super Mario Brothers games, great games. There's just not really too much new to them, and that's okay, because it goes on the if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So like, Kirby for the past 30 years like has not been broken. Like, is there a actually bad Kirby game out there?
You could debate that they're like mediocre, and I don't really have the perspective on them. They're more like the one-off kind of things, or like the free-to-play stuff. I don't want to say that, but there's some. I won't say. I'll agree though. Like, I don't think Kirby's missed.
It's hard, is what it is. Like to.
There's no Kirby time loss machine.
Kirby's time machine.
Or Kirby teaches you how to type, where you just type the word Puyo 50 times, That's his keyboard. It's 3 letters, P, O, and then Y. Okay, but yeah, that new Kirby game, I don't think we really know what it is, besides it might be like a Fall Guys-esque kind of thing.
Oh, that'd be kind of interesting. jump on the.
But yeah, like I said, they can do weird stuff. I mean, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, though. I did, going back to how you say they don't really have to try. They tried for Forgotten Land. It's very different.
It looks like they
it's a
tried.
thing, yeah.
I wouldn't know since I still haven't played it. I'll get to it at some point though.
Feels like we're being belittling to Kirby when we're not.
I know it's bad, but like at the same time, like that's just the nature of video gaming. Is it like if you're gonna be critical about it, like at least be honestly critical. And like the truth is that like the Kirby games are great. They're just
it's so funny. We're saying, oh, they're so good, but then we're also saying it in like a passive aggressive thing. Oh, they're great. Whatever, whatever.
yeah, but I don't know because we're having problems because we both like Kirby, but at the same time we don't want to like sit here and just bash Kirby. But like Kirby could go for a little bit of just like it's been the same thing for a while. You fixed it with Forgotten Lands, that was good. Kirby Air Ride was pretty phenomenal, even though it wasn't really like a main thing Kirby game. It was just a side thing. But so was Mario Kart, and see what that spanned into. You should probably make a Kirby Air Ride 2. Please, for the love of God, make Kirby Air Ride 2.
I think that's the interesting thing about Air Ride, because like I don't think it was perceived well when it was released to critics, but now it has such this resurgence that like everyone's, because Sakurai the Madman, here's a game where you play with basically the A button and then the stick, boom.
Honestly speaking, when you think about all the so Kirby Air Ride, like the city trial mode, which is the mode everybody talks about, honestly speaking, it has all those different like mini games that you compete for, like. That's pretty much Fall Guys. Only done, 20 years ago.
So basically, Carl wants City Trials 2, and it's like 100 players.
You put a big enough map, it would be pretty fun. I think so. I think it would be pretty decent.
It sounds less like Fall Guys, and we're playing Kirby's Fort Nightmare in Dreamland.
I mean, honestly, I think that'd be kind of cool. I think I'm just spitballing here, but I think there's a lot of potential for that to be a pretty solid game.
Which could be what the next thing, well, besides the air ride aspect.
Yeah. But I don't know. Nintendo's a goofy company. They do things their way, and that can be okay too.
Speaking of doing things their way. I also noted on news Craig McCracken of a lot of cartoon, notoriety. They've done Foster's and Powerpuff Girls. Wait a second, are you telling me they're doing it again? Yes, they are.
They are.
Which I haven't kept. I didn't finish. I don't remember if there's an ending to Foster's, and I didn't watch all the Powerpuff Girls either.
There was the movie, I thought.
For what? Foster's?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a movie at the end of it. I don't know if it necessarily wrapped up like everything, but I know there was a movie, I'm pretty sure.
I know there's 2 movies. There's the one that introduced the series where, Mac gets blue. And then there is also Wilt's movie or something where it's like, oh yeah, my friend is Michael Jordan or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But, it's always nice to hear... Like one part is like, I'd like to see Craig McCracken just do something new. But at the same time, it's like, hey, the right hand to do it is the person who made it originally.
Well, what I'm hoping now is that like, I'm glad to finally kind of see TV dying in the sense of it is because like with TV, like making people have to like promise to like 800 seasons at a time is kind of like not great. And especially with cartoons, I feel like it's kind of just it could be kind of a waste. But like if you think about it now, like if they kind of go the way a little bit more with like video games and they just kind of like make the seasons when they want to make the seasons and stuff, like that might keep the creativity of like cartoons and animes and stuff like quite a bit better now.
I wasn't sure where you're going with that initially, but yeah, I see what because I thought you meant like look at how Netflix is doing, and it's like oh they're.
No.
That's its own topic.
No. Abort.
All right, I won't get into it.
Yeah, but yeah. So but like I'm just looking at this because like Powerpuff Girls hasn't. They had that new series.
They had a reboot that did not do so well, and I don't know if Craig McCracken was involved, but like we'll see. We don't know nothing about it really. We just heard this. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing, Carl wanted to bring this up just out of spite.
I don't.
Go.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to bring this up. Discord is now finally coming to Xbox in full use, I think, on every aspect, really. I'm pretty sure you can access, like, servers and stuff and chat and voice chat and stuff like that. And the reason
While playing your game, right?
the reason why I wanted to bring this up, I wanted to bring this up in two parts here. Number one, it's just a big old just diss to Skype. Honestly speaking, like, Microsoft spent all that money and they're like, yeah, we're getting Skype now, and then everybody jumped the bandwagon off of Skype. So I don't know what's going on here, Microsoft, but, like, come on. But I think this also, like, signifies that, like, Skype, it's been good. You're dying. This is the if there is a nail
Internet
in the
Explorer moment.
yeah, if there was a nail in the coffin right here, this was it, right? Okay. It's been good, Skype. I don't know what else to say for you, but, like, I'm sorry. Sorry it had to be this way.
I know it would not be conducive to the podcast, but I wish we both disconnected right now. And then we reconvene and it's like, oh, sorry, we had a Discord error. Back to Skype.
Yeah.
They're, like, listening in on us. And Skype is listening in on Discord calls. But I mean, I think it's cool to get it on kind of like that, like, more platforms. Although, I haven't really done voice chat on console gaming in a good while. I don't know. It's just looks like this.
I mean, it's all dependent on, at the end of the day, any form of voice chat that you do is going to be questionable at best. The reason why, like, between us for the most part is that, like, we all have, like, decent microphones and stuff to make it so that we don't sound like garbage. Like, I could switch over to my phone right now, and then you could really understand how, like, the difference. Like, I've done that a couple times where, like, I've switched between, like, microphone and phone, and they're like, Carl, stop. Don't do that. I'm like, but I want to be on the move right now, and they're like, I don't care. Go back to your good stuff. I'm like, oh, okay.
No, just carry your condenser mic and all that with you, and just on the go. No, put on the NES headphone thing.
Yeah.
Fire. That does remind me. Going back to Kirby, Carl had a Kirby night like 3 years ago or 4.
Yeah.
And my mic was dead by that point, so I was on phone for that because he had me on for Kirby's Dream Course.
Oh yeah, I remember that. He was like, no, I don't want to do it because my microphone's dead. I'm like, Speed, you're doing it. Otherwise, you're fired. So he did.
Like, okay.
It was
and we tied, I think.
And it worked fine. Like, it was fine. He worries too much. Okay.
Well, you're the one who was. I brought it up because you were just talking about how you sound like a pile on your phone. So.
Well, yeah, that's different though, because I wasn't in that situation.
Of being coerced by a friend to play
on stream, nonetheless. So that's how it be.
All right, that's all the news we wrote down. I haven't been keeping my ear to the ground as much as I should have, but we talked about some stuff. But I think it's time to move on.
Honestly speaking, it's been kind of a lull, I think, for news recently. So, like,
because all the stuff just happened like 2 weeks ago for games anyway.
It did. It really did. So
I will actually. Oh, I should have briefly mentioned we've been talking about Yu-Gi-Oh a lot on the podcast.
We have.
Kazuki Takahashi did pass away recently. So
was that not talked about in the last podcast?
No, because it happened like in between, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
So pour one out. Thank you.
So he's the creator, correct?
Yes, he wrote the manga. He drew a lot of the cards, drew the story and stuff. So
So I guess let's get into that just for a second here, because I obviously I've played the game, which is called. This has always been a confusing thing because everybody either called it Yu-Gi-Oh or Duel Monsters. It is Duel Monsters, right?
It's Yu-Gi-Oh because Duel Monsters. Hold on, Duel. Because I thought Duel Monsters was a different game.
No, you're thinking of Dungeon Dice Monsters, I thought.
No, okay, well, no, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. You want to be specific? Because I'm thinking, what's the one where what's that other card game? But anyway, that's the... I'll figure that out. Here it is, that other card game. Sorry.
But, yeah, so then, okay, next question. What actually originally came first?
The manga.
The manga. It was not the card game.
Yeah.
Okay, so the manga came, and then he was like, oh, I should make a card game out of this because it's actually a decent idea. So then the card game came?
Yeah, so basically, it was originally Kaiba was going to introduce all these different games to Yugi to like verses on, and even before that, I already talked about how Yugi was just a murderer originally.
Yes.
So like that was the main premise, and then it was like, hey, these cards are doing pretty well, and then it all evolved from there. So I just wanted to make note of that because Yu-Gi-Oh has brought a lot of people together, and I think it's important to honor that.
Hmm.
So thank you.
Yeah. As much as I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh enough, but I was kind of like saddened when I saw his loss, so I have to be sad about that too. Yu-Gi-Oh is a pretty fun game. The newer rules are strange, but if you sit there and understand them, I'm sure they can be equally as fun, as they still have tournaments that use all those rules today, and plenty of people
Yeah.
that enjoy them right now. So,
Thank you.
yes, we should
We
play.
should move on now.
We
Oh,
should.
sorry.
I was gonna say we should play a game in his honor at some point, but we should also.
Yeah,
move on.
sure.
And
So I can win.
yeah, he'll probably win. I'm not the best. I'm not the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monster, Dungeon Dice Monster, Yu-Gi-Oh!
I'll
Shinigami
even use
Tensai.
like cards that aren't new, and then you'll, or not new cards. Like I won't use like XYZ or Pendulum, and I'll still whoop you.
And then we'll have a battle in the GameCube Yu-Gi-Oh! Game.
Oh boy. I'm still curious which one of us will say, you know what, let's stream Nightmare Troubadour. Or sorry, not Nightmare Troubadour. Dang it, now I don't remember. Forsaken Kingdom.
Yeah.
What the one I don't like that, and TFP doesn't like that one red likes.
What was I gonna say? Speedy Sundays revival for that. Everybody, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, let's get going here. We need to move on. We're done with the news. We're done. The news is over. It's time to move on.
It's over.
It's over. So Speed came up with today's a conversation topic, which I know it's about completionism again. Let me see what he wrote down. He wrote down, and as I followed, completionism: games you've completed, would like to complete. What are games you feel are worth completing? What is satisfying when it is generally a pain? Also, games just not worth that 100%.
Yeah.
All of those are pretty solid topics in their own right under the idea of completionism, and so this kind of I would probably say it kind of goes a little bit onto what we were talking about last week, because I think we did talk
Yes.
about completionism a little bit in the last podcast. So the biggest thing I'd like to start off with when it talks about completionism is there are no right and wrong rules when it comes down to this. You know, I if you watch if you hang out with CFP, Speed, Tom, and myself, the three of them always try to harp on me for my crazy and wacky ideas of what I define as far as completionism in a video game. And more to the point, how I kind of base things on beating games and completing games is I am a firm and strong supporter of a website called backloggery.com, or just backloggery.com. It's where I list all of my video games, and it has a nice like system where you can rate them as like unplayed, beaten, completed, and a master category for those games that like you've really like super beaten in some ridiculous way. Like if you have like a world record speed run or something like that, that might be a good reason to put that on there. But regardless, that's kind of where I base a lot of my completionism and beaten of different games on. So if you're ever like, how does he? What are you talking about? That's what I'm basically talking about through a lot of this here. So.
Yeah.
He wasn't ready to transition.
I thought that was I thought that you're going to continue from there. But I'll define, because to complete a game, yeah, I'll agree. It has various, depends on the game kind of thing. Like some games have clear percentages, like, oh, you got 100 on Kirby. Others have logs, like battle logs and like enemy logs, item logs, which make it pretty easy to know. But then others don't really have that. So it's like, what you kind of have to define for yourself. What does it mean to complete a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like getting every unlockable. Do you count a platinum trophy on like PlayStation? Does that count as completionism? So, it varies between people. I kind of feel like, to me, completing a game is to do all the things it has to offer in one way or another. rather than just like beating it, which for people to understand the difference, beating is like, oh, you saw credits or you saw the ending, right?
Right. And then there's like other things too, which make this even more confusing and stuff because like you take a game. I love Spyro the Dragon. Don't get me wrong, but Spyro frustrates me beyond belief. Crash kind of does this too, I think. Um,
Where it's like 103.
yeah. Donkey Kong Country has 106% because I don't
Yeah.
know why.
Hard mode.
Yeah. But like Spyro does 120%. It's like why? Why is this the extra 20%? Like,
Their gym trainer is like, give it 120% Spyro.
so it really comes down to it. Again, like I said at the beginning, what you define is perfectly fine at the end of the day. And the other thing too is that like sometimes like for myself, I'm probably a little bit more obsessed when it comes to this, just because I have this method of like defining everything and how I want to define it. Some people, they don't even look at the number 100% ever in their lives, and there's something to appreciate that with that too. I think because like
Yes.
I haven't done that in a very long time, and there is something about that I do miss with myself because I do just spend a lot of time just like trying to get that magical percentage in my brain essentially to feel completed and stuff. Um, I was 100%ing Vice City, and although Speed wasn't there for all of that in our Discord calls and hangouts, like there was a lot of times where I was just sitting there doing. I probably spent like most of the time on call and in that just like not getting anything done because like it's just a crappy part.
So basically, it would be like 5 minutes of silence followed by darn it.
Yeah, it would be.
Kind of like hanging out with Tom.
Well, I mean, see, when I hang out with them, and we all just kind of do our own thing when we hang out, and like we show each other screens and stuff. But like, it just there comes a point sometimes where like sitting there and 100%ing stuff requires a lot of repetition, and it just does get
Yes.
boring too. So, but yeah, so let's get into the stuff as far as what you kind of wrote down, because I think you have a pretty good list of stuff to kind of go about. So I think we're going to hold off on games you've completed and would like to complete probably till maybe later, and let's get into what are games you kind of feel worth completing.
Wait. So, what? Not worth completing or worth completing?
Are worth completing.
Oh, okay. So basically, games that you've wanted to for a while but haven't, or
Yeah,
oh,
well, either you have completed them, and then also it goes on to saying like if you would like to complete it, you're still working on it,
okay.
and it is still something that just you feel excited to do. But I mean, going back to it, the ones that are worth completing, that's a questionable thing because again, like I said, everything's whatever it's worth it to you.
Yeah.
Some people when they play, Super Mario Sunshine, they're perfectly content with just getting the standard 70 shines and
And that is me. Like I will admit, I don't think I've ever gotten all the stars or all the shines in any Mario game.
really.
Yeah, I did. I did get all the star coins in the New Super Mario Brothers though, but no, I get that counts. I think
Yeah.
in a sense. So never mind. But like generally, I'm like I kind of this one's a little tough. I don't
Hmm.
I don't want to rack my brain around it. I had fun with the game, which I know if Chris listens to these, he'll be like, well, "You didn't 100% sunshine."
Yeah, but there's plenty of stuff where you're like, Chris, you haven't played that way, so just don't worry about it. We're watching you, Chris. Don't think you're Mr. Gamer yourself. You got a lot of cleaning up to do yourself. Um, but yeah, I think Mario's a good starting example, and as odd as it is, Spyro's also a pretty good starting example of games that I've always felt are. I mean, this can always be back and forth, but I don't think Mario games are too specifically difficult, I think, to 100%. In the sense, too, of like what's kind of defined. When you play a game like Super Mario Sunshine or Super Mario 64 or even Luigi's Mansion and Spyro,
Right.
their goals are pretty defined as far as what you want to consider 100% in that. But you could go a little bit further and say that, 100% by technical definitions in Sunshine. I'm going to use Sunshine because that's what I'm playing right now, and it's the most relevant game to myself. in Sunshine, you have 120 shines that you need to collect. That requires you to just get the shines themselves or get the blue coins in order to buy the shines.
And then, never mind. I was gonna say 100 coins, but no, that's
Yeah, that's part of just getting the
a
shines.
specific.
Yeah, but since you bring that up, that raises a question now, because if you think about it, each mission
Right.
has a certain amount of coins in a lot of the sense. Some of them have the ability to go to like 999 in the like to max them out. Some of them do not. And there's with the advent of internet today and just forums and forums that have just sat there painstakingly figured all this stuff out. You can see which levels have the maximum coin amount you could possibly get, and depending on how you look at that, you could also add that in and define that as that also being a 100% kind of mark thing. You could make it so that you need to get really specific times. Like if you wanted to get like really, 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 really specific, like you could try to make it so that you get the fastest time possible, humanly possible in the game, as a time limit, and that would be considered 100%. And and I'm being ridiculous right now, but like
Yeah.
that's kind of the point of like that's how much
Completionism.
yeah completionism can really stretch out to be with a lot of that stuff. But I think taking that out of the factor, because that's going, I think, a little too far, and that's something I personally don't consider the need to be able to do. I'm just looking at like primary game things that need to be done, and and most side quests being basically completed and checked off. So if we look at Super Mario Sunshine as the example again, primary is the 1 through 7 of each level in Sunshine, and then secondary is all the blue coins and all the remaining shines that you can get that are not required but are still part of the primary things that you really need to get. So now there comes harder things to kind of define too, I think, which is RPGs.
Yo.
RPGs are a nightmare to really define as 100%. If you ask,
I wrote that down in games not worth 100%ing generally.
like, I'm gonna go ahead and actually let's use Pokemon, because that's probably that's the most common probably denominator as far as RPGs today. That is a very complicated one to really define as being worth it to 100%. I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, well, it's easy, bro. Did you do that? And yeah, I guess if you want to spend the whole pile of time to do that, and that's kind of the other thing that gets factored in too, is that like time is a wonderful thing, but you only have so much of it. When it comes to Pokemon, the definition, I guess, of 100% back on the first games was to collect them all. Nothing more,
Yeah.
nothing less, and of course get the gym leader badges and do all the
Be the champ.
But I mean, there's a lot of other things that you can kind of consider, and Pokemon Red and Blue is a good example of like very difficult to 100% if you want really, really, really want to go that route, because I calculated this with Troy once, and in order to obtain and hold on to every single TM and not use every single TM, it requires
Wow.
every single, and I'm talking every single slot possible in your inventory and your PC inventory. You will be required to. You can't pick up any more items. You have to use every single item except for the TMs, if you want to collect all the TMs and all the special items throughout that game.
But then you don't have room for all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So.
So it requires you to like finagle being able to do a lot of that stuff, which brings up the point of like double playthroughs of having to do things. Final Fantasy IX is a good example of you have to beat the game in like 12 hours, or you have to get to a certain point in 12 hours. Otherwise, you can never get this item again, which means that you have to start the entire game. So you could sit there and be like, hey, this is worth it, question mark, for that 100%. But the problem is that there's like for myself, I would not say it's 100% in that regard, because like, if I didn't get that item, because it's just a glaring hole that I didn't do it. So, but
I would say one of the easier ones in RPG wise to do, though some people are a little contentious on it counts as an RPG. That's more of the refiner people, but I would say Paper Mario and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. It's a bit of a pain, and you could miss it. You could still miss it, especially in TTYD,
yeah,
because what would be the Waka Bump? If you use up all of those, then you can't finish the recipes
it's true.
because some recipes require Waka Bumps. But That was one I actually did recently because Kara was like, "Hey, you didn't get all the star pieces. You can't put
He
100% on
did.
the."
I was proud of
So
him.
then I was like, okay, I'll do it on stream. And that goes into the thing of why do it, even though it's kind of a pain to look over like a guide, even or even not use a guide, just smack around all the environments with a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's just like it's. There's plenty of things. It's like why do you collect a? Why do you have a collection? It's satisfying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to get 100% is just to have that satisfaction of having that done and experiencing that. There are rarely times where I'm like, I want to do this multiple times. I
Yeah.
want 100% more than once.
I'm a little bit
Um,
better when it comes to that though, because obviously I stream a lot of games that I've beaten and such. So, and there's just a general fun to like so again going back to Sunshine, like I enjoy 100%ing that game quite a bit.
right.
Um,
I wanted to add on to that because I did mention it briefly. Most Kirby games, I think, just need a little extra doing to get to 100%, and I think that is actually definitely a game worthy of percenting. And we also mentioned it last time, Epic Yarn, specifically is probably the fun, like a really fun way to play that game.
the only thing I'll say about Epic Yarn, if you're ever gonna 100% it, is we did it the right way because we did missions as we went. Make sure you do those missions as you kind of like the side missions and stuff where you play hide and seek with Zeke and Carrie or whatever. I think it was another one. Because if you leave those to the end, like you are spending literally 2 hours just doing all of those, and like it's fun for the first few times, but like it gets monotonous afterwards, and you're just like, oh my god, this is just, and that's unfortunately like a bad way of doing it. And this again, I'm bringing up Sunshine again, but like I've been playing Sunshine this time now, where I'm getting blue coins as I go instead of not doing that. And I'm
Yeah.
kind of enjoying it a little bit more doing it that way, just because like I can do some mission, do some coins, do some mission, do some coins, and it's just kind of like I don't have to worry about all the coins at the end and worry about making sure that I don't get coins that I wasn't supposed to get, like that are gonna confuse and mix up the log, you know?
I don't remember how. I think speedrunners. I think they generally also just do it as they go, if I can recall.
You have
Especially if
to.
it slots into the time of that level. I could be corrected on that because I was also thinking, do they also save it at the end? That could be dependent on what percent are they going for as well, because speedrunners run different amounts of shines to beat the game.
It makes more
Um,
it's got to make more sense to just grab them on the go. Honestly
I
speaking,
think 100. I think 120%, or sorry, getting all of them. I think they do save it for the end. I'm not sure. I can't confirm that.
that seems weird because like unless you're saving by definition of saving it at the end, like saving it for like 100 coins, that would make a lot of sense. But it just doesn't seem like that would be the most optimal thing to do because the thing you have to understand is that some of those blue coins you can only get in specific missions. So I would probably say that they don't save. They might save some for the end, but not all of them.
Yeah, probably.
Because it makes a lot more sense. Like if you're already in the mission and there's 4 coins specific to this mission, like you might as well grab them now instead of having to go through all the loading screens and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess because we were supposed to go on to games you actually feel worth completing, and we totally went into more so like defining what is how is worth it and why is worth it and what is not worth it. Maybe we should probably define some games that are actually worth kind of completing. And I did say Super Mario Sunshine and all the Mario games and stuff.
And I did say Kirby.
Um,
Um, I can add on a specific one. I don't think you would say, or like not because you disagree with it, but just because you don't really have the experience with it. Visual novels. So it's not to diminish them, but I mean, if you just do all the routes, boom, you're done. In fact, Phoenix Wright, you could put a C on the backlog. I'm pretty sure. Though at the same time, there are certain dialogues you don't get to see in Phoenix Wright if you don't like just expend all your evidences to show off, right?
the biggest thing with those is that I've always found that issues end up being that it's I would be okay. I would be more okay with that if I went back and I saw, oh, you missed this dialogue. Then I'd feel a little bit more inclined to get the secret dialogues and stuff. Because like the bottom line that ends up happening is that like I don't know that the dialogue existed. I never knew the dialogue was a thing.
Oh, so that is actually amended by how like collections on like the PS4 and stuff have achievements for them.
Yeah, that is a fair point. They do have those, but like it is a weird thing because that like it I really wanted to like I really want just like a section in the options or stuff to be like, dialogues completed, and then it just shows like each character, like Mike Meekin's dialogues, and like you're like, oh hey, I didn't get this Mike Meekin's dialogue. I got to go back and do the Mike.
No, don't go back, Carl. Don't go back.
Go back and do the. And the nice thing is like with
uh,
Phoenix Wright, because you can do each of the episodes at their you can do episodes over again.
Yeah, but you can't do like chapters in the episodes, unfortunately.
You can't, but and that would, I think that plays a little bit into that too, because there's some chapters that like if you do them in one specific way, they end up going a different route, which ends up getting you a different dialogue in that regard.
Right. But in general, visual novels, besides maybe that one, I just wanted to bring it up in that generally, if you've just done the game, that's completion.
Mm-hmm.
But so a lot of some are a little more binary in terms of like you just pick one option or the other, and then you go down that route, and then you pick one option or the other, and then poop, 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 and then you just keep looping through it, which does make it relatively easy. There are ones I will talk about for like games that are really hard actually in visual novels to complete, that I don't think are they're worth it, but also it's like, oh man, to do them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So go ahead.
I was gonna bring up. I want to bring this up. So a few people have actually been playing Link to the Past this past few months here, and I'm not bringing up Link to the Past specifically, but I'm bringing up Zelda specifically, and this reminded me of a really solid point. Because we were just talking about this too, and that's the visual of seeing your completion in progress.
Yes.
I'm a firm believer that like you feel more inclined to do completion if it's glaringly obvious that you're missing something. Like in Zelda games, especially like Link to the Past, there are like 3 or 4 items that you could just completely skip out entirely on. And you'll load up that inventory at the very end. You'll be fighting Ganon at the very end. You'll look at your inventory and be like, why are there 2 holes here? What did I miss? And like that's something that irks me when I don't do that kind of stuff. And Zelda has done that very well over the years. By just
I'm gonna say the best one, or like sorry to interrupt, but like which one would you say is the best Zelda game to 100%? Because I have a good idea. I'm not sure if you'll also concur or say this at the same time. Wait, let's count to 3. And then let's vote to see the title.
Yeah, okay.
Of what we think is the best 100%. Okay.
All right.
On 3. Okay.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Link Between Worlds. Wow.
Link Between Worlds is hard. I don't think you're gonna. There's a couple.
I did it in 3 days. I did the first playthrough, and then I went on hero mode, and then I got all the Malamars. I did all the stuffs.
Did you do the survive for 10 minutes thing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's
so I guess if you don't do hero mode, then it's way easier. But like,
but I mean that's the thing too, because like hero mode now, does that count as like?
Yeah.
See, I don't count like difficulty stuff like that as.
You do put it because I looked at your backlog and you did note that you did hero mode for your completion.
I did, but I mean like if you're talking like through normal mode, like hero mode.
Yeah, of course, it's just the difficulty thing.
Yeah,
really. It's your decision. Mm-hmm. But it was funny because the reason why I didn't 3 days is because like, oh Tim, you have it? Can I borrow it? Sure. Here you go. I'm done. I was like, what do you mean you're done? Look at the save. Because it has, I think, 2 files. So.
Yeah, but yeah. So like, going back to it, Ocarina of Time is the one I'd probably say is the most or the best defined to do 100%, because like there's just enough flashiness to show like everything's not complete, and it could be complete, but it's not. And I think when you can kind of like physically see the completion of your game in that regard, like you can see that you have all 20 hearts and it's nice and symmetrical, and you can see that you have all the items, and you can see that nice red 100 sculptures that you have. It's the one rare instance where red looks actually nice to me, because it shows me the sense of completionist. That's those are those things where like I know that it's like there's a lot of things in that game does really well, where it says it alerts you that you've 100%ed this specific section of this. So good job on that.
Yeah. You know what? Let's go back to what makes it worth it. That save file.
It does.
If they got a save file that's got like everything you've done on it, Boom.
It is.
I'm in.
It's the ultimate brag thing too, because like you're like, oh yeah, here's my save file, and it's 100%. And then well, okay, so now you've opened up a Pandora's box, because yeah, you have one save file that has 100%, but there's two more. Now is that 100%ing of the game?
You brat. Because that game doesn't have copy data either, does it?
No. Some of them do. Some of them do, but some of them don't.
Yeah, it's not like I know Ocarina. I don't think does. Maybe it does on 3DS. I don't remember.
So wait, hold a second. So this is to our good fan, our good friend and fan Brightheart. There's 99 saves in Final Fantasy VII. What the heck are you doing?
You rotate saves.
Have you even 100% of the game yet, bro?
Oh man, okay, I gotta go back to do Persona. They have 99 save files, and once you beat the game on New Game Plus, your file gets a nice little mark on it.
Yeah. This is going out to our friend Will. How many save files are there on 3 houses or in Persona 5? Come on, get going. Like I'm not feeling it yet.
What a jerk.
I know. It's pretty awful. I do not I will not be upset if everybody hates me after this podcast after saying that.
Do you got 99 and 59 minutes on your Paper Mario 1000 Year Door file?
Yeah, did you max out the clock in the game?
Do the names say like Paper Mario completed 100%? On the 4 files? No? I thought you were a gamer.
This reminds me that I want to bring up Troy, because Troy is really specific on how his files look and stuff. It's insane. Like if he gets he's the kind of guy where in Super Mario Sunshine, if he got 101 coins put on the save, he would reset the game because he needs every one of them to be 100 perfect, like guaranteed. And like I thought about doing that, and the first time I messed that up, I'm like, I'm not going back and fixing that. That is just too much work.
That was like last stream. You got like 110.
Yeah, I got 110 on level. I'm like, oh, I kind of want to fix it, but like, I'll pass. It's too much work.
Troy's backlog, shout out, because like it's very organized on like what he's playing, what level is he, and stuff like that.
He works the back. He's the one that showed me the backlogger. So I mean,
oh really?
Yeah. So if you have a second, there are two things that you need to understand and appreciate about Troy's backlogger. Number one, you need to appreciate how little games he's beaten. Sorry, Troy. But you also need to appreciate like all the work he actually does and like actually documenting and tracking all of his progress and stuff. Like if you look at Elden Ring, tells you what class he's doing, what level, where he's at, and the specific area where he's at. Kirby, he's got how many wild D's and stuff I get, which I don't even understand, where his file percentage is. Tony Hawk 1 and 2, like we're playing that like sorted together, and he's documenting like the progress between like the both of us in a sense. He's like listing that he is playing that with me while listing where his progress is and stuff. So it's
lost
crazy.
It, Carl, because I forgot if you scroll down, because you said it's an accomplishment how many games he's not beaten. It's also an accomplishment that half of his unfinished bar are games he's never played.
He likes to collect them.
And
just let them sit in the packaging on the shelf.
I think of myself as a decently organized guy, but if you compare my backlog to like Carl's and Troy's, it's like it's severely lacking. Like I'll say, yeah, I played this, and then it's not my backlog. You know what's funny? I looked, Wind Waker's not my backlog. I was like, what am I doing?
Well,
it's a pain to keep up, at least for me.
Well, and going on to backlog, and this is where it becomes down to like, because I should apologize to Speed because I do give him a lot of crap for his backlog. Speed's so I when I look at my backlog and how I define it, anything that goes onto my backlog is stuff that I mainly physically own, but if I own it on like a platform like Steam or stuff, like downloaded, like I bought it and stuff, then I put it on there. So anything that like I beat emulated or stuff, it doesn't count towards progress on the backlog. Or in Speed's case, because you borrowed Link Between Worlds and you didn't.
Yeah, I borrow a lot of games.
Yeah, and doesn't actually own. Now, in the fairness of the backlog, there is settings that you can actually define as borrowed, let go, and all that kind of stuff, which is perfect for Speed, and Speed should honestly use that just to.
I've been using it, but I don't. The thing at that point is like I don't have memory.
Yeah. But like, there's been times where like we'll be like epic yarn together, and he's like, "So I could put that on the backlog, right?" And I'm like,
he'll give me crap and say no.
I do. Because the bottom line is that if I was reversed in the position, like, and I was playing off of like Speed's game, I would like be less than. I probably wouldn't define it as completed. I'd be like, no, I didn't complete it on my own file and stuff. And that's actually a Troyism, because that's where I got that from. Because like I was like, I bought this game, I want to play it on my own system and stuff, and that's just how it's gonna be.
So I could blame Troy for that.
Yeah, you can, 100%. Come on, Troy.
We will actually talk a little more about this because we have a different topic about collections, which we could talk about like sometime in the future.
For sure.
Going back to games that... So, are there any other games that you think are worth 100%ing that you have thought of?
Let me go back to my backlog
list.
Because there's so much that I can kind of define. There was also... I wanted to bring up one more thing, which was games that like you automatically complete and how you kind of feel about those. So, like, let's take the most basic game, Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now... You could take what defines completing that game, Speed? if you had to define it.
Do they have a conclusive like end to? So you're talking about Mario Brothers where it's like you hit the POW block and stuff like that, right? Or are you talking about Donkey Kong?
No, I'm talking about the original like 1-1 Super Mario Brothers where you get to the end.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Brain explosion. Yeah, I guess just going through it. Yeah. And then you know what? If you want me to be, if you don't mind me joking a little, then you hit Minus World. Then you put the C on the backlogger. But no, yeah, a lot of games where it's not multifaceted and it's very linear. Those are hard to define as not just beaten but completed. So yeah, what do you think on that?
I mean, like I bring that up with a couple of answers because there's the debate on if you take warp zones versus you actually just play through every single level. Like I think that kind of defines like what's kind of more of a I beat it versus I completed it kind of aspect to it.
Yeah.
But like there are other games that are just like as linear as possible, and that just makes it a question of like, is that both a completion and beating? Is it only just beating? That again, we're basing this off of the backlog. I think a lot of the times too. So because like at the end of the day, like it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
Yeah. So going to the linear thing, I think that's why I specifically brought up like visual novels, because like once you get to the certain ones are just like again choice, and then once you go through all of those, that's you didn't just beat it, you completed it really. Yeah, it does depend on your interpretation, but like I think generally for those linear games, you're probably gonna put complete. Or where would you put it then? Say you beat Mario, is that actually beat or complete?
I'd say I think you're shooting yourself in the foot if you don't play through the entirety without using warp zones at least once in your life. So I'd say like if you just beat the game using warp zones, you're skipping a lot of the game. So I'd say that's a B. Realistically, stating, and if you can actually like go through every single level without warping, I think that deserves a C at that point.
Okay. But then let's go to like Donkey Kong, right?
Well, now are you talking about like original Donkey Kong?
Yeah.
Okay. Now that game doesn't really have like
a beat,
and doesn't really have secrets.
Complete.
I think. As far as I know, it's just you go to the top and that's it. So
3 times, 4 times. I don't remember how many levels there are.
That's
because it loops is also.
Well, that's the thing too, is that there's different versions of Donkey Kong because there's the ones where it just takes you to, it starts you off on the bottom, then it goes to the 75M, and then it goes to the top. But
Yes.
there's ones where it's 0, 25, 50, 75, then the top. And that's confusing, cause like then there's different like versions, and like why is it this way and why is it that way and stuff, and then like, but I mean like if you only have the version that has 3 levels and nothing else but the 3-level version, then like you only have 3 levels to beat. You can't unlock anything else. There's no other thing. And but so like Donkey Kong's is a good example. It's kind of a good example, but a bad example of arcade games to beat. Because like by definition, Donkey Kong's beating of it is you beat Donkey Kong, and like that's beating the game. Like you complete the goal, and then the game just repeats, and then at that point it goes back into the whole points thing that we were talking about last week.
I do kind of want to say the difficulty of speaking is you said you beat Donkey Kong, and then you complete. Use the 2 words.
I know it's a confusing vernacular.
I mean, I hope we're not losing the thread on you guys. But I also want to point out, this is very off topic, but I looked at Carl's backlog and he put a C on E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
I beat it. I completed it. I did all the stuff.
He uses the both words.
Look. In E.T., you gotta get the phone parts. It doesn't matter how you do it. You just gotta get the phone parts, and that's it. I mean, you could argue that like you have to go to like every single like screen or something like that, or you could have to collect enough Reese's Pieces to at least see Elliot once, or maybe you got to be captured by the scientist or the police officer like once maybe. But like, what else is there in that game? There's nothing else. You collect the phone parts, you find the ship, you go home, you beat the game, and the game ends there. Like it's as basic as it gets. So
it's as basic as it gets for a game that is like. Well, I wish I had the experience of not knowing what E.T. was. So then, if I ever played it,
that would be.
It's like you playing Takeshi's Challenge, which is going to happen.
Okay, so that's a game. No, that's a game. That honestly speaking, I don't think you can like not complete that, right?
Takeshi's Challenge?
Yeah, I don't think there's like an alternative. Like, I mean, I guess you could get all the bad endings. Technically speaking.
Yeah, there are like collectible things.
And okay, that you've unlocked another Pandora's box. Bad endings.
I will count them
because it's funny because like I think of the game Die Hard for NES. I like that game. It's hard. It is an obnoxious piece of garbage game that is hard, but it is fun in a regard once you get into that game. The thing is that like if you think about it, there's I think 4 different technical like ways you can kind of like end that game. 2 of them, I think there's for sure a good ending. I think there's like an okay ending, and then there's the bad ending. Now the funny thing is that with the bad ending, all you need to do is shoot the first window you see and jump out of it.
And jump out.
And then that's the bad ending. There's even speedruns for that. Like I couldn't pass it off.
Dude,
as
put it on the New Year's Showdown.
I know I can't pass that off, man. You know I couldn't. Like is it a bad ending? Yeah, but like I could not pass that off.
It's like how in A Wonderful Life or Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life going. I always bring up farming sims, folks. You could just say, "Nah, I don't really want to run the farm," and then he's like, "Okay, well, thanks. See you later." And then and then there's I think another one where you kill the mayor. Yeah, I think that's DS.
Or there's the spoilers for Paper Mario: 1,000-Year Door, but there's the bad ending in that game too, which is all the way at the very end of the game.
Yeah, where you're like, yeah, sure, I want to be evil. Or sorry, yeah, sure, I want to be. Oh, never mind. But yeah, okay, there are some games. Like, let me bring up another visual novel, 999, 9 doors, 9 persons, 9 hours. You have to get all the bad endings to get the true ending, as far as I remember. So, there are games in certain fringe cases where, yeah, getting all the bad endings just leads to completion as well. So
yeah.
For Die Hard, though, that's wacky.
Well, and going back to Die Hard, I watched the speedrun of that game, which is hysterical to say the very least. All you do is you spend most of the game running up and down the stairs.
Yes.
Like it's supposed to be, I think it's kind of like a real time game where it takes about 30 minutes roughly, but every time you go up the stairs, it actually like advances the clock, so the real time kind of gets thrown away. Um, but because somebody figured out that like it just advances the clock, and the time limit doesn't really mean like the game is over when the time's out. All it means, once you hit the time limit, once you get to that 30-minute time limit, what ends up happening is all of the terrorists that are in the entire building immediately they know exactly where you're at, and they all just start coming together at you. So like what speedrunners end up doing is they like go and find like the best 2 weapons possible, and then they just sit there and get like the entirety of the clock and over, and then they go to the bottom floor where it's like the most open floor possible, and like they've figured out where all the terrorists are basically just going to come from each and every single angle on the screen, because like there's only like 30 or 40 of them, so like as long as you remember where they're all at, like you can kind of just like put bullets like perfectly in different situations and stuff, and you'll be good to go. And I don't think there's like much else after you kill them all. I think the whole entire game just revolves around just killing all the terrorists, and boom, done.
Shoot the glass.
I don't even think you fight him. I don't.
No.
Like, you could put a little like,
he just leaves.
He does. He just leaves.
True ending. Oh man, I didn't know he could just walk upstairs for 30 minutes and then kill all my associates. I guess I'm outranked here. So, do you want to move on to then? Games which ones? Do you want to talk about games not worth 100%, or games that you want to?
Let's get into games that are not worth 100%. Let's kind of get there.
Yeah, I think that'll take a little less time
because we were talking about RPGs and stuff, and the bottom line is that when you really can't define what constitutes 100% in a game, that's the most
difficult to want to do it.
Yeah, because like when you just don't know when things exist too, like that becomes problematic as well. Now I've 100%ed by technical definition Final Fantasy VII. I've gotten the Golden Chocobo. I've gotten all the materia to master rank. I've gotten all the summons. I've gotten all the top tier weapons and stuff. They're just nothing else that's feasibly left to really do. All the best accessory items and stuff. Getting my guys to as maximum amount of levels and their stats as possible, and even then
getting on the limit breaks.
Yeah, but even then it comes down to like, okay, well I've maxed all this stuff, but what about like these other weird things that I haven't maxed out? And then like then this also opens up another Pandora's box, and I don't think we'll spend too much time on it, but like,
man, we keep opening Pandora's boxes today, Carl.
I know. Can you please insert the Pandora's box sound effect from Zombies Ate My Neighbors? Please and thank you.
Probably not, because I haven't really been adding sound effects to the podcast. But
I
imagine, just do the sound with your mouse. Right
well,
now.
Actually, I think I have it. I think I actually have it somewhere.
All right, here it is, folks.
So remind me. I'll send it to you.
Jump scare. You open Pandora's box.
Yeah, so W item in Final Fantasy VII, which for seasoned Final Fantasy VII players will understand that that's a broken materia. And the reason why it's broken is that somebody figured out that there is a glitch that overflows something and allows you to get infinite amount of items of whatever you need it to be. So
yeah, I think Bright did that recently as well.
Yeah, so that raises a question too of like, is your completion even legitimate at that point? Because, hey, I could sit there and grind out a whole pile of these, different items so I can get Cloud's strength up to his maximum as possible, which will
sorry. Real quick, I flipped that. What he did recently was a materia duplication glitch, not W item.
Oh, so he's going further outside the box then. Okay.
Yeah, but keep going, sorry.
But yeah, so I could either sit there for, like 40 or 50 hours trying to, get the 99 items so I can maximize Cloud as possible. And that's one of, 9 characters, or I could, use this glitch that gives me all the items in, literally 10 seconds, and do it that way. So, and there's the question of if the game allows it without, like Game Shark or anything like that, then like, is it legit? Also, is using in-game cheat codes a legit way of completing a game too? That's a question. I mean, by technical definition, your save file will say 100%. But, like, is it legit?
Yeah, Carlos is. I think most of the Pandora's boxes Carl are opening are like devil's advocate kind of
They
thing.
they
It's like,
are.
well, you know what?
They 100% are. I will agree to that.
But I mean, it's fun to think about again. What does it mean to you to 100%? But yeah, like you know what? I know there's a trick to do it, but man, I don't want to dodge 200 thunderbolts to get Lulu's weapon.
Yeah.
I ain't doing that. I've never done that.
Trying to 100% Kingdom Hearts 2 final mix. I gave up on that finally. I was just like, I don't care. I don't
I
have
don't need to get the logs. I don't need to
anything.
mess with the mushrooms.
I think
Wait, that's one.
with most games that you first play, you start off and like you make the first decision of I enjoy this or I hate this. So after you've made that first decision of I enjoy this, then you come to the second decision of like, how much do I actually enjoy this game? Do I enjoy this game enough where I want to make sure that every single little thing is gotten in this game? Or do I just want to see those nice credits and do maybe a few extra things on the side just because it's fun to me? But
And then the third one is, do I have the time?
yeah, that's the last thing is that time. Do I have time to sit here and do all this kind of stuff? Because let me tell you, I doing the European Extreme for Metal Gear Solid 2, I enjoyed the fact that I was able to actually just beat it. There, I fixed myself before I made the mistake.
I was gonna say.
But I didn't complete the game, and in order to actually complete it, I'm gonna have to go through European Extreme again, aren't I?
Dude, to complete it, because again, if you're playing with the devil's advocate, it's like, man, what do you consider completing? All the codec calls, all those secrets?
Well, again, this for myself. I'm looking at visual, things. So I'm
All ranks?
um.
Oh, I got you.
That's a good point. But I was looking more so. I guess in that case, no.
I've never gotten Big Boss on.
I'd say okay. In that case, then, because I think you solved the issue. The highest rank is the completion rank. If you're gonna look at ranks like that,
okay,
I'd say.
but the ranks aren't just highest rank. Some ranks are earned because you had a certain play style.
Because okay, so now what we're getting into is Luigi's Mansion, which makes me so Brian, who's our good friend, if you're watching this, you've gotten the top rank and you've probably gotten the bottom rank. Have you gotten every single rank though in Luigi's Mansion? I have that question and I have that challenge now to see, can you do that?
That would be fun.
That would be fun, but I mean it would take a long time.
But yeah, like for Metal Gear, it isn't just like, oh, you did this, because some ranks you do get from like just killing everything you see.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's not sort of Big Boss is like the rank to get, or Fox Sound or whatever, right? But like some of them aren't just like because you did the best. It's because you play it a certain way, the best.
Well, and Metal Gear Solid has actually, yeah, no, the first one has it too. Metal Gear Solid has the thing where like you technically have to beat the game two ways. You do the kill way and then you do the non-killing way or the pacifist way, really. So but my I was looking more so at with Metal Gear Solid 2. Now all of that one save, everything's basically still on one save file, I'm pretty sure. So like as long as you get stuff at some point like throughout some save files, like pretty sure it transfers over as like the final completion of something.
You think so?
I could be wrong on that, but the thing I'm thinking more so about the dog tags, because some of those dog tags are not obtainable in easier difficulties.
Yes,
and that just raises questions too about like how you kind of go about that. Some dog tags are only acquirable if you kill the person, I think, and some are only acquirable if you stun them and knock them out, and then get them. And then I could be wrong. And it's hard to hard to know or remember because they did Metal Gear Solid 2, then they did the HD collection, which I think changed quite a few things.
Yeah, and there's also like the sustenance and oh man.
Yeah. So
or subsistence, whatever.
Substance. I think that one's substance. Subsistence.
Yeah,
is
sauce.
Sauce. So yeah, it's probably not worth it for Metal Gear Solid, just because like I mean I don't know, some like it gets down to this point of like those people that are able to say like, oh yeah, European Extreme is easy mode and stuff like that, well, like, yeah, sure, if that's all you've been playing for like the past like 5 years and nothing else, I suppose. But like, again, it comes down to time, and in order to do all that kind of stuff, it requires a lot of time.
I will say there's one Metal Gear that you can actually like say you can complete. I haven't done it. Metal Gear Solid 5 does have a percentage.
It does have a percentage. That's the only one
Yeah.
I think that has a percentage, if I recall.
As far as I know. Or remember.
Yeah, I mean that you can. I would agree with that. If you can put the big 100 on there, that is 100%.
Yeah. Unless I've been wrong this whole time and it's like secretly Hideo Kojima during the development was like, man, Donkey Kong Country is a pretty good game. Let's make a meaningful number, because he's the type of guy to do that. It's like this number means something. 105%. Oh my god. Other games not worth 100%. I put this down, and I talk about it a lot. Farming sims require a lot of time investment, and then to say, I'm gonna dedicate more time to collecting everything and doing everything. My brain hurts, Carl.
I think back to Stardew, and I'm like, I really like.
Nah.
I have a lot of interest of doing another year of Stardew, but like at the same time, like I've been going on the notion of like, do I really want 100% that game? Like, I could do it. There's a lot of stuff that I can I understand how to do now. It's just gonna.
You're doing a shady voice.
Shady. Hey.
hey.
But yeah, like it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of time commitment. And I think that's kind of the growing issue is that like if it costs just too much time, then it just doesn't feel worth it. And unfortunately this happens probably the most in RPGs. But it isn't to say that there aren't plenty of other games that it just does happen to as well. Dead Space is another good example of like, I kind of want to 100% that game, but like
get all the suits. And
but then there's
upgrade all the weapons.
But then there's like critical mode, because I like when I only get to save like 12 times out of the entire game. And if I don't, if I die, I have to go back to that ridiculous save spot many upon many ages ago. And like my health bar means like garbage.
It's I don't want to.
Yeah, see, it's like
it's like playing Last of Us on the grounded mode.
Dude, that was a terrible idea. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea to stream that. That was a miserable amount of streaming I've ever done in my life. Do not.
Are there any other? Oh, sorry.
Do not. If to the newer streamers out there, do not stream Last of Us grounded mode. It's unless you're like
unless you're like you've done it before,
yeah,
and
like
really good.
Then go for it. But like if you're like I've never done this before, I want the challenge. Think.
Give it a one-off.
Yeah. See how far you get. Well, even see that's the thing though, because like those first few, like I'd say maybe the first and second stream.
They went kind of fine.
And
then you went to like the gym area and the trap town, whatever.
Yeah, and then they turned to the European Extreme for Metal Gear Solid 2 and the Tengu fight.
Where half the stream was Carl silent and then Joel screaming because he's being bitten by a clicker.
It was. I spent so much time just sitting there. Oh, this is awful. With Metal Gear Solid 2, I almost gave up on that. I don't know what. I don't know what keeps me going sometimes with that, because like it's interesting because I mean like there's definitely support from you guys, but like I get it.
Yeah, so like we rated recently Maniacal Gamer, and like he hasn't played Splatoon 2 in a long time. He's playing Octo expansion, and it's like, man, I'm having a tough time with these missions. And I was just thinking at the same time, I also voiced it to him. It's like, as long as you're having fun, I think that's also and your vibe is hitting the viewers. I think that's what helps going through like the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, for sure.
That's definitely an important factor in doing something that's very challenging. Like Bennett Foddy and like Jump King. It's just doing that stuff. I didn't bring that up to spite you, but I realized he's still got to do Bennett Foddy.
I do.
Any other games not worth 100%ing? And then we could wrap it up with games that we want to.
Odama and Grudge Warriors.
I don't even know what 100% means on Odama, honestly.
I don't know. This
Tune in for Carl's
Yeah, pretty
gameplay.
much. No, I think
I have a end-all answer on games not worth 100%ing because there are, in certain capacities, you can do this, but like, and it's 3 letters. MMOs.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, that's I can like I don't even know. Can those be completed?
Some can.
Like I feel like all those RuneScape players and those Warcraft players. I'm like, I mean that's and to be fair, I want to make it clear. I'm not saying that you're wasting your life or anything like that because we're talking about just completion. We're not talking about like
just playing the game.
Yeah, because like
at your own capacity.
Yeah, and the bottom line is that like if there's still more and more like other new quests and you're just like, oh heck, I want to try this new quest, and like that's perfectly fine. But like for the thing of just completing something, like can it be done?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like
and
you gotta make that your lifestyle because again a lot of these games also have virtual economies.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you've opened up our probably our last Pandora's box now, which is pay to win.
But I just brought that up because I also thought of how someone did all Dragon Quests in like one sitting as a speed run, and they did 10, which is an MMO.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can beat that one. But like I was just thinking, if completing one, don't do it. Unless for example, it's like low. There's not a lot of new updates coming in anymore, and not a lot of activity going on, but it's still online. Sure, maybe if it's feasible to you, but just get what you want to get in the game.
Yeah, for sure.
And don't make it 100% it. Okay. So, let's wrap up with games you've wanted to 100%.
Yeah. So, I the biggest thing is going through my games and stuff. There's a lot of B's on the backlog, and there is a lot of sense to me wanting to turn those into C's and stuff. The first one I'd probably say that I would like to actually complete is New Horizon, and honestly, I'd like to do the original Animal Crossing as well. Both those games I think would be cool to finally just be like, yeah, I'm done. There's nothing else left to do with those.
Yeah. Especially because New Horizons now has like hit the point where I don't even think the new items that are coming in through the month, like you could order this item. I don't think they're like new anymore. So like you can feasibly do it, especially because they expanded the the storage.
Yeah,
it's probably the one game that you could definitely like own everything in.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in like GameCube, you don't have enough room for that. So.
Right. I'd also like to get. I'd like to get complete Pokédexes in all the Pokemon games.
You can. The fun with that is like you can get help from people in the group as well for that. So.
And yeah, for sure I could get that. But like for some of those older games, like Red, Blue, Yellow. I mean, I've done technically Yellow, but I'd like to do it like on a. What I'd like to do, because I own Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Okay. And what I'd end up doing is I would grab 6 brand new batteries, just toss them all in the cartridges, and then I'd have batteries for a good 20 years at that point. So I'd be able to I'd get them in. I'd really take just a hard stab at getting as much progress as I can through all the games and trying to get as many Pokemon as I possibly can through all of them. And there's a debate within myself, like, do I want to have like an entire full Pokédex plus the Pokemon? So like instead of just like getting an Oddish and evolving it from Gloom to Vileplume,
have one of each.
Yeah, and doing it that kind of way.
There's people who've done that
because I think it would be kind of a cool looking thing to do as well for that too.
Would you get green and do that too?
And then the last one that really irks me that I want to probably 100% as well is Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Yeah, you've been talking about that.
I'm like
you're missing like one thing.
Yeah, I'm like 99.99% of the way done with that game, and all it is I what I really need, honestly speaking, is I need somebody that's like decently versed in Smash Brothers Melee to be like, this is how you do that, because like those are the kind of things that I just don't understand how to do them, because like it's the step of being an all right like Smash player to like really knowing the finer details of Smash Brothers, because you just know those like very combo-esque skills, like like when I play a fighting game like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, like yeah, I can go up there and mash buttons, and I can kind of like use a little bit of skill of just like brute forcing things to try to understand like the other player. But like when it comes down to like using all those combos and stuff, I am terrible.
And I'm not at that point where I can combat button mashers, because if you do that on like a tournament goer, like a pro, like I don't think that's gonna fly.
Yeah.
Because they've studied the combos, they've studied the matchups, they've studied like how to counter a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But also it comes into the mood of the play and stuff. Because skill isn't just like one level; it's a range, and that can vary from day to day. But
Yeah.
any other games?
I think that's pretty much everything that I could think. I'd like to get the final few things in Spunky as well. That'd be nice as well. But I think that's everything for the most part. That I mean, there's definitely other games that I'm looking at here, and I'm like, yeah, it'd be. Oh, Assassin's Creed 1. I want to finish. Got to get those flags. Got to do it.
Gotta get them.
Missing like 2.
Requiescaten.
No, I already did that with.
That's not one.
I already did that one.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, I got a platinum trophy on that game twice.
Yippee!
I really like Assassin's Creed 2, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, of course. It's the ones I've wanted to do. I want people to get off my back. So at one point, I've always wanted to collect all 100 musical notes in
Magical Melody.
Can you fill in the? Yes. then the spirits would go away, Carl.
They won't.
They'd stop haunting me.
They won't.
I would talk about Metal Gear Solid 5. You get some cool stuff for 100%ing it. Like, I think, spoilers, I think you get Raiden's outfit or something, and you could, like, run really quickly. Or maybe it's Gray Fox's. But anyway, you get something like that.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I want to do all those missions on the highest difficulty and then do all that hooty-hoo that's involved with that. Mm-hmm. Tales of Vesperia, a game I really like. I actually ended up... we just talked about RPGs, they're pretty difficult too. But, like, I'm pretty close on that one, actually, in terms of, like, getting everything in the log. And then, to platinum it, though, you have to do some extra stuff. One, you have to beat the entire game in under 15 hours. So you would use New Game Plus for that. Yeah. And then another one is you beat a boss that's kind of, like, mid-game, below level 15 or something. So I'm like, Calm's Crown? You want to trade the jewels with me, Carl? No?
I mean, even if I finished up or got to that point, how much of that do I actually have to do?
So my thing is, like, you can pick a guy or gal to play as, right? Mm-hmm. And they get different jewels. So to complete it, you have to Pokemon it. You have to trade those specific jewels.
So I'd have to play
that are locked.
I'd have to play as the girl, but that wasn't my question of who I play. I was talking more so about how far into the game do I have to get in order to do that?
Well, no, that's the thing. I don't know when you would access these jewels depending on who you're playing as. In that sense, because like the guides are kind of fickle for a game that's about playing columns.
Because I mean, like if it's I only need to play for an hour, then I'm good to go. Like that, that's I mean we can do that. But
okay, so there's an ability that lets you steal from the CPUs. I don't know if that's it though.
Sounds like someone needs to do a little bit of research on this topic here.
Great, I have to make the FAQ.
Yeah, exactly. You have to contribute to the community.
The problem is, if I want to research those, I have to reset, and I got master mode, Carl. I got master mode. It's on my wall. Well, it used to be on my wall. It's on my wall anymore.
Buy the game again.
Ew, then I might as well not talk to you about this. Last two things. I never got all the endings in Silent Hill 2, despite it being my favorite game. And a lot of the endings do require a full playthrough. Like, a full playthrough doesn't take that long in reality if you know what you're doing. It'll take me a bit, though, since I haven't played in a while. But, like, for example, some endings require you to not heal, like, for a while. Like, you have to be on low health. You have to, like, look at items a lot and read the descriptions of them, like, repeatedly, too. So it's a whole thing. If you ever go through that, man, I'm very interested in what ending you naturally will get. But, okay.
Yeah.
Besides that, Yakuza games, they have platinum trophies that are tied to doing everything in the game. I don't want to play pachinko.
Yeah, you do.
I don't want to gamble.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, I know. Okay, I said that last thing, and then you watched me on Wednesday.
Yeah, I did. That was
where I played.
That
Chidi
was pretty. That was.
Like, I don't want to gamble for achievement. I want to gamble to get a thing and then leave.
Well, 90% of the people that don't gamble don't get that achievement. So.
Quit before they strike it big. Okay, but that was our completionism topic. There's definitely more we can have gone into it, but we're kind of, this might be the longest podcast we've done in a while.
Yeah. So I guess this goes down to the question of I don't know how we want to split this question up, but I guess I'll ask the single thing. I'll let Speed take the bigger probably chunk of it. But
we have different questions, so
yeah.
I mean,
so
like, feel free to just say your whole thing that you want.
So I'll go ahead and ask the question of what games have you guys like truly completed, and what did it mean to complete those games? Like what did you have to do in order to actually truly complete them for yourselves?
Okay. My question is, what's a game you've completed that you felt the most proud of doing?
All right.
I think for me that would be like T2ID actually recently, because it's like I say that's one of my favorite games, and I didn't like truly complete it until.
But now you have.
At least for me. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna move on here to wrapping up. We asked the questions last time. So Carl's was actually I don't remember who asked what, but what was your first game ever? That was mine, I think, actually.
Here, I got the questions up here. So you ask, what was the first game that you ever played, and if you're curious, how long would it take to? Never mind. That's talking about the podcast and stuff. So Ice Climber Kirby responded with either something in television or DOS.
Television.
It's such a weird thing to be. You don't meet too many people that are like, I grew up with the Intellivision. Like, I'm not even.
Yeah, so that's really cool.
I'm not even sure James Rolfe actually like grew up with the Intellivision necessarily. I think
I think his first one was like just the NES.
Well, no, his first one was the Odyssey.
Oh, really? Yeah, right.
I remember him talking a little bit about the Odyssey, but yeah. So she goes on to talk about the Tiger Electronics handheld games. I actually have one of those on my shelf right now. And then
Stream.
But then it's interesting because then like the first Nintendo console was the Wii, so like you have such a gap in there, which is
wide range.
So
and then your question was, what would you suggest to someone who's interested in trying games? And I believe Ice Climber said, believe it or not, Ice Climbers or Kirby.
Yep.
Nightmares in Dreamland specifically, which I think is an interesting one. Oh, I forgot to mention, I've never completed that one. Because that one actually does require difficulty.
I've never played it, so. Do you mind if I kind of explain it real quick? Because it's a little spoilery on it's
that.
It's pretty much the same game as Adventure, so like it's not anything.
Okay, so you beat it once, and then you unlock half health difficulty. And if you beat that, then you get Meta Knight mode.
Ooh.
I did not beat half health. I want to go back and do that at one point.
Yeah.
But she did also say basically DOS games or GBA games were easy for her to start with, so it would be possibly easy for other people to start with.
For sure.
Yeah, and then I don't think Lime Green meant like to start games, but I do agree, and I kind of wanted to introduce a new segment called Addendums, where maybe we thought of something from the previous podcast that we want to bring into this podcast. And I'm embarrassed to say it. I told my sister what our podcast was, and it's like, why don't you say Wii Sports?
Yeah. She's got a
point.
She's got a point.
Who would ever start with
Yeah, but okay, I'll raise the stakes and say who would ever start with a dumb demo disc? I mean, really.
Dang. Yeah, like in reality, yeah, it was a fun family game for a lot of people. So it's like I regret not saying that, even though I'm doing an event with Resource. And then Lion Green did mention Bomberman, and I think Bomberman is also kind of a simple game to like learn.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
it's A and then
So
movement.
Bomberman's the kind of game where like it's the most unforgiving game possible because let me tell you,
Yes.
the first thing you do in Bomberman is you mash buttons and you move around. And the first thing that you are going to do if you do not understand Bomberman in any aspect of the game and you're like, what the heck am I doing? Is you are going to press the
A
the
button and then walk up.
yeah, and then you're going to realize that oh no, you cannot move, and then 2 seconds later you're going to realize that your game is now over. But on the plus side is that like
That's a learning.
yeah, it's a
experience.
learning experience, and the true consequence is that like you just start the game over again, and then
But I thought you were gonna say the first thing you do in Bomberman is you make a vendetta.
it's kind of no, that takes a little bit of time because like once you know. The funny thing is that like you don't make vendettas in Bomberman with other people, you make vendettas with the really ridiculously super strong
Yeah.
AI because like
We don't talk about it, but there was that one stream we did where we didn't win.
it's true.
It was like Red Bomber.
The problem with the AI, for those of you that don't super know Bomberman, is that you get like power ups like speed up power ups throughout when you're playing, and the AI can put themselves on pixel perfect like spots. So and they can think like this is I'd be curious to see chess players and play Bomberman because like their ability to think like a whole pile of moves ahead, like I feel like gives them a little bit of advantage when it comes to Bomberman. So I'd be curious to see how well they kind of do with that too.
Such an interesting perspective to bring up.
I know.
Yeah, sure. So, if you any other addendums before we start like really closing
No,
up here?
I think I'm good right now because we're very
Okay.
running out of time here.
Yeah. If you folks have any topics you want us to discuss or input on what we just talked about, please feel free to leave them in the comments below or even respond to our questions. We'd like to hear more on those.
Yes.
Or reach out to our email at the please don't email this podcast at gmail.com. So, what's coming up down the pipeline?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that saying the Gmail again? I feel like it kind of got like.
The please don't email this podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Did I say it wrong?
No, it just like from when I heard it, I was like, it didn't sound like it like kind of like it sounded rushed and just. I think it just needed to be reset.
Okay.
So that's all.
Sorry. Another line to be done.
So
what's going on with you? And then
yeah, so community night. This video should come up before community night actually happens on the 30th.
hopefully.
So
I don't know.
yeah, so community night will be coming up. That's pretty much it. We're still doing the Summer of Classics, so there'll be probably still Super Mario Sunshine left to be played, and Wind Waker, and Pokemon Nuzlocke, which has been a huge success with everybody. People, we're having. If you want to get in on that, let me tell you, you can either join Team Correct or Team TFP. So. Which equivalates to team I'm going to make it, I'm doing great at Nuzlocke versus team at some point something's going to happen, I'm going to lose the entire team and it's going to be game over and sad.
That Arcanine though.
That Arcanine was something though. That was terrifying. I will admit. I was a little scared about that.
On my end, hopefully this podcast comes out in time, but like I have been really focused on my free time editing all these cutscenes and stuff that I want to shoe into Table Tennis Revengeance.
Yeah.
Again, that's on the 29th, 12 p.m. Friday. But like, oh man, I hope I can edit this and then edit everything else I wanna, because like that's been taking up most of my time. But other than that, I've still been going through Chibi Robo, and though I might be done with that soon, I just need to gamble more. Pioneers. Friday I do, well, not this Friday from this podcast, but today in real life, Dragon Quest with Bright, Dragon Quest 9, and I've been talking to Brian about doing the thing, but I don't know when that will happen, honestly.
Sims someday.
No, it's AI dungeon actually is what we were thinking of.
Oh, okay.
So where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/Carl101. You can find me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Those are my normal days that I normally stream. You can also find me on youtube.com/Carl101. You can find me on Twitter. Does Twitter use ats or
It's
at Carl101. That's my Twitter handle, as well as my my Instagram handle. Twitter, you can usually use that for getting all the information as far as when things are happening. I try to keep up to date with like events and stuff. And I'm very bad at announcing when I'm going live on stream, but I'll get better at that, I promise. And Instagram, you can follow me there and see what I'm doing when I'm not streaming and not working on YouTube videos and stuff. And a lot of it is just Kea pictures. I mean, just being. If you need some incentive to go check out the Instagram, there you go. It's Kea pictures.
And if you want more, I don't know if you mentioned Patreon, but
Oh yeah,
yes,
I have a Patreon. We do. You get access to early access to videos. You'll get downloads to songs and stuff like that. And we do a weekly Kea video on there now. So that if you need some real incentive, again, Kea is a perfect example. My wonderful husky who. Is on a bad streak this week, to say the very least. But, she's a great dog. Love her.
Okay, Carl was late to the stream. I have not asked him why.
Yeah, it's exactly that reason. 100%.
Okay, it is Kea. I was right, but okay. You can find me on Twitter at FlameCannon3, 3 eyes. And you can find me at Twitch, SpeedSlasher, or Fridays at Brightheart2324. And my Tumblr is FlameCannon3. I upload drawings there. I also upload drawings on Twitter. So that's it for both of us.
Yep. Thanks for watching, everybody. Remember, please, just don't.
Just don't watch.
Just don't.
At the end, we tell them not to watch.
That's the point. That's the funny.